Daily Cycles here with a weekend update on October the 21st. So the S&P dropped down, now making a double low, and we see my 4-week cycle. Well, it's too early to say if this black 4-week cycle now has shifted into this orange 4-week cycle. We still need probably a couple of months before we can be certain. Anyway, either way, the 4-week cycle suggests more weakness coming up here. And this will probably be a long video or split up in 2 videos, so a lot to talk about. Here's just an observation, no strict rule, but just an observation about symmetry. If we look at this rally, it lost momentum or topped out at this point, and the symmetry suggested we should see weakness into this point, which happened, but it was only a sideways consolidation. If we say the next rally phase started at this point and ended here, we see it suggested weakness into this point, and that was a hit, but it was a bullish sideways consolidation. If you go on and say the next oscillation or cycle, or what you want to call it, started about there and it ended around here, we see the symmetry suggested weakness into this point, and that was a hit as well. So the next step is starting from here. Now here we have something that looks like a double top, and I think it was Terry Laundry that had an observation about this, that when you have a double top, you often have to place, say, you have to treat it as, you know, the top is in the middle. And if we place it somewhere in the middle here, we see it suggested weakness into this point, and that was a hit as well. So what we had here, or what you see, is the longer the buying phase is, the longer the selling phase is. So if you have a long failing rally, you have a longer punishment to the downside. And if we look at this last one here, you know, if this just was a dead cat bounce and it would just collapse down like my green scenario here, it would have been a short bottom formation, but no, we had to make it longer, and that was kind of expected, because this was quite a rally with momentum, so you would expect some dip buyers to show up here. But as my red scenario shows, I thought if we would have the dip buyers come in, it would fail, and you know, the bottom would be later. The longer the buying phase, the later the next low comes. So if we place, you know, the tops somewhere in the middle of this double top, it should suggest a low sometime this coming week. So this one failed, and we are in the red scenario. However, the S&P looks more bearish than my red scenario here. So there's absolutely potential for making a lower low here in the coming week. Just check how this symmetry works going back in time. If we place it here, we have a topping formation. Well, or is it? That was quite a top, so this works rather well. However, you could argue this was the start, and here we have a topping formation, so I put it in the middle. Well, that didn't work that well. And here, if we start from that low, obviously it didn't work, but if we say the oscillation started at this point into here, well, there it did work. So no exact signs here, just an observation about often we have some kind of a symmetry going on. So I want to zoom out in the bigger picture. Here I have long term going back 70 years. I have my 3.5 year cycle in green, and I have a wavelet that corresponds with this cycle in red. The current situation is we're in a new bullish phase, and it should go on for quite a while. I should also mention there's a bigger 28 year cycle going on here, and it's very visible in the S&P most of the time, but it's also an inflation cycle, and often you see this 28 year cycle better if you look at the inflation adjusted S&P. And the inflation is often related to wars, so it's also a war cycle. And that's why I mentioned just before the Ukraine war that, you know, bad things could happen, and it did. So, well, the war cycle, obviously in the 70s we had quite a bit of unrest in the Middle East, and oil embargoes and inflation and stuff. If we look at this next 28 year cycle high, that was more like a bullish right translated cycle. We did have the stuff happening in Europe and Russia and Iraq, and then we had the terrorist attacks in 2001. We had more Iraq and Afghanistan, and but this was, we didn't see a big inflation in this phase. But I do think, or we do now see inflation and wars, and it should not be over for quite some time. Now at this bull market top a couple of years ago, I did get flashbacks from year 2000 and 2007, and I thought there's a real bad bear market coming. And I said it would at least go down to October 22. That would be an analog, would be around here. And I said I also think the bear market will continue down into 2023, like here, but that didn't happen. We started a new bull market. However, I think people, well, there's a lot of problems going on, and this bull market will be sabotaged. People won't believe it. And if you go back and look at some analogs, you see, let's say this bear market low was an analog, and then we had this weakness, this consolidation phase. Is this all? Is it the double top? No, we got another pop up. Or this is an analog. Maybe we are here. Is it some kind of a double top, a lower top? No, we popped up to a higher high. And you know, at this phase we are quite oversold. People are scared, they don't believe the bull market, and you can't get a bad bear market if people are out of the market. So I think these problems with the Middle East and such going on right now, it will probably resolve. We will make a higher low than the last year bear market low, and people will rush into the market. You know, when people are out of the market, you want to buy on weakness. You will think everything is so bad now, it can only get better. And with this belief, market will see a higher low, and people rush into the market, and we should probably see a new all-time high coming up next year. But then all this trouble is still there. It's not resolved. We have inflation, we have wars, and I think the next bear market will be a really bad one. And the 28 year cycle suggests weakness for another 10 years. So it will probably be, say, a sideways market for 10 years, is my prediction. So in the next video I will look more at the short-term forecast. See ya!